Hi, welcome once again to M5's English language learning program, Let's Speak English. I'm Gav Duncan and I'm here on your TV to help you learn English. Now, are you sitting comfortably? Yes? Good. And are you ready for today's lesson? Yes? Good. Okay, well, let's learn English together. And hello to you all. Welcome, chickens of the forest. Welcome, gnus of the plain. Welcome, gibbons of the jungle. And of course, welcome, gods of English. How are you all today? Is everything going well? Is everything fine? I hope so. Good. Now, are you all ready? Sitting comfortably? No? Well, find a more comfortable seat then. Okay, is that better? Yes? Good. Right then, we're almost ready to get started, aren't we? So, all that you need to do is tell Gusti to stop his mad chicken dance, tell Margot to settle down and sleep somewhere, and tell Nigel to keep the noise pollution down for the next 15 minutes or so. Okay, all done? All right then, let's make a start. All righty then. Who remembers the last thing I said yesterday? Anyone? Ah, yes, you all remember. I know. Yes, the last thing I said yesterday was bye. Okay, but the last relevant thing I said was connected to the past continuous, wasn't it? Yes, that's right. I said that today we're going to look at the question form for the past continuous. Okay, that's what I said, and that's what I meant. Here it is, folks, the question form of the past continuous. Okay, so what do you all remember about asking questions in English? Anyone? Yes, that's right. When we ask a question in English, we have to change the word order, don't we? If we think about a positive statement in the present continuous, for example, I'm writing a letter to Gene Hunt. Okay. Now we know that if we want to change that positive sentence into a question, we have to put the part of the verb to be, in this sentence am, that we use to make the sentence in front of the subject. Am I writing a letter to Gene Hunt? Okay, we also know that when we make a question, we can't use the short or abbreviated form. It's just not possible. It's impossible to say, am I writing a letter to Gene Hunt? See, you can't say it. We also know that because it's a question, we have to add a question mark at the end. But we all remember that, don't we? Of course we do. When we want to make a negative sentence in the present continuous, we have to add the word not to the verb to be that we use to make the present continuous. So, I'm writing a letter becomes I'm not writing a letter. With the other subjects, we do the same thing. But with the other subjects, we have a choice of abbreviated forms. When we use the first person singular, there is only one possibility for the abbreviated form, I'm not. But when we're making sentences with the other subjects, we have a choice of two abbreviated forms. I am not doing anything, I'm not doing anything. You are not playing tennis, you're not playing tennis, you aren't playing tennis. He is not watching TV, he's not watching TV, he isn't watching TV. She is not working at the moment, she's not working at the moment, she isn't working at the moment. It is not working properly, it's not working properly. It isn't working properly. We are not going on holiday to Somalia. We're not going on holiday to Somalia. We aren't going on holiday to Somalia. You are not traveling to North Korea. You're not traveling to North Korea. You aren't traveling to North Korea. They are not listening to Radio 4. They're not listening to Radio 4. They aren't listening to Radio 4. Okay, so that was an example using the present continuous. What about an example with a different tense? Well, If we think about the present simple, then we have to think about two situations. We have to think about using the present simple form of the verb to be, and we have to think about using other verbs in the present simple. If we're thinking about the verb to be, then we know that we have to pick the right form for the subject. And then, just as with all questions, we have to change the word order so that, for example, I am becomes am I, you are becomes are you, and he, she, it is becomes is he, she, or it. And if we're using another verb in the present simple, then things change a little bit, don't they? For verbs in the present simple, we have to use the auxiliary verb to do. When we'd like to make a negative sentence or a question in the present simple, we have to use the auxiliary verb to do to help us. I like potatoes becomes I do not like potatoes in the negative. And if we're making a negative sentence about the third person singular in the present simple, then we remember that the changes we have to make are changes to the auxiliary verb. The main verb stays the same. The main verb remains in the infinitive. I like potatoes. I do not like potatoes. She likes strawberry ice cream. She does not like strawberry ice cream. And if we want to ask a question using a verb in the present simple, then we start with the correct form of the verb to do. Do for the first person singular, I, the second person singular, you, and all the plural forms, we, you, and they, and does for the third person singular, he, she, and it. And just as with the other questions, the word order changes when we want to ask a question in the present simple. When we ask a question in the present simple, we start with the auxiliary verb, then follow with the subject and the main verb in the infinitive. Do I like gorillas? Does he like fried cheese? When we make a sentence in the present simple, we have to remember to check the spelling of the third person singular. Most verbs add an S in the third person singular form. I sit, you sit, he sits, she sits, it sits, we sit, you sit, they sit. I type, you type, he types, she types, it types, we type, you type, they type. But when we're asking questions in the present simple, all we have to do is remember which form of the verb to do we need for the subject. Do for most of the subjects, I, you, we, you, and they, but does for he, she, and it. After that, we only have to remember to use the main verb in the infinitive form. We don't have to change the verb. We don't have to add an S to the end of the verb when we're using the third person singular. We change the auxiliary verb when we're making a negative sentence or asking a question, so we don't have to change the main verb at all. The main verb remains in the infinitive for all the subjects when we ask questions and make negative sentences in the present simple. Do you like horror films? Does your sister like popcorn? Do they like Indian food? Does your pheasant like cat food? We do the same thing when we ask a question using the past simple tense too. When we ask a question or make a negative sentence in the past simple, we also have to use an auxiliary verb. But this time we use the past simple form of the verb to do. In the present simple, when we want to make a negative sentence or ask a question, we use the auxiliary verb to do to help us. When we're asking a question or making a negative sentence in the past simple, we use the past simple form of the verb to do, did. And the easy part is that when we make a negative sentence or ask a question in the past simple, the form of the auxiliary verb is the same for all the subjects. The first person singular, I, uses did. The second person singular, you, uses did. The third person singular, he, she, and it, they all use did. And all the plural forms also use did. simple. When we're making a negative sentence in the past simple, all we have to do is use did plus not and then add a verb in the infinitive. I did not enjoy my holiday. She did not like her cocktail. They did not sleep well. Kim's rocket did not work. When we want to ask a question using the past simple, then we do the same thing as with all questions. We change the word order. So, although the verbs change from the infinitive when we're making positive statements, when we want to ask a question in the past simple, then, once again, we use the auxiliary verb did and add the main verb in the infinitive. I played squash yesterday. Did I play squash yesterday? You started work early this morning. Did you start work early this morning? He watched a terrible film last night. Did he watch a terrible film last night? She played the violin when she was young. Did she play the violin when she was young? It went wrong almost immediately. Did it go wrong almost immediately? We tried to get in contact with them. Did we try to get in contact with them? You did your homework. Did you do your homework? They had to leave suddenly. Did they have to leave suddenly? So, as we can see, there again, in the past simple, we do the same thing. We change the word order when we're asking a question. We move the auxiliary verb so that it comes before the subject. You did becomes did you. She played becomes did she play. Okay, so we all remember the changes we have to make to a sentence when we're making questions in English. We all remember that we have to change the word order. With the verb to be in the present simple, we change the word order so that the part of the verb comes before the subject. When we ask a question using the present continuous tense, then a similar thing happens. We change the word order so that the verb to be, which we use to make the present continuous tense, comes before the subject. And when we ask a question with the past simple tense, the same thing happens. We change the word order so that the auxiliary verb moves to the front. It comes before the subject. And, oh, broken timpani sticks. We're out of time. Oh, brass rubbings. Our 15 minutes is up. Okay, never mind. Don't panic. Everyone stay calm. And I'll tell you what's going to happen. We're going to finish the lesson now, and tomorrow we're going to start off with the question form of the past continuous. Okay, you're all free to do whatever you want for the rest of the day. Gusti, dance like a drunken gibbon as much as you want. Margot, get some rest. And Nigel, well, Nigel, you've got 24 hours to make as much noise pollution as you want. And for the rest of you out there in Hungarian TV land, enjoy yourselves and get some rest. I'll see you all back here tomorrow. Oh, and if you need to check something from a past lesson, you know where to go, don't you? Yes, that's right, www.m5tv.hu. See you later. Have fun. Bye.